Hi. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. In our channel, we are vlogging Sign of Ikshvaku, and today we shall start chapter 14. Ram was not happy about how the execution went. It was barbaric, and Roshni herself would have stood against it. Ram and Vashisht were in his private chambers. Vashisht, however, questioned that this was barbaric. This wasn't barbaric compared to what the rapists had done to her. Ram said that yes, they needed to be executed. That was the law, but the way it was done, it was inhumane, and that it is wrong for Vashish to justify this behavior. Guruji then questions that, tell me Ram, will rapists and murderers be terrified of breaking the law now? Ram was forced to agree that yes. Guruji said that the punishment has served its purpose. Even though Roshni wouldn't have agreed with such an execution, Guruji believes that brute force can only be met with equally brute force. You can only fight fire with fire. Ram disagreed and said that Roshni had said that eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Guruji explains to Ram that this is the age of Kshatriya, this is the age of violence. If you believe that an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind, and the world believes otherwise, you will end up being blinded. When the universe changes, universal principles needs adjustment as well. Ram was worried. He was wondering whether his people were even worth fighting for. Vashisht explained to him that a true leader doesn't choose to lead only the deserving. A true leader inspires people to become the best versions of themselves. They will not only defend a monster but will convert the demon into a god. A true leader will take upon himself the Dharma Sankat but ensure that the people become better. Ram once again asks Guruji that does he justify this brutal punishment? To which Guruji says that no, but the society is not made of people like him and Ram. There are all kinds of people with a variety of shades. It is the work of a good ruler to direct the people in the direction of Dharma, which lies in the center, which lies in balance. If there is too much anger, it is the work of a leader to bring stability and calm. If there is too much passiveness and uncomplaining, then the leader needs to incite active participation and outrage and even anger if needed. Emotions exist for a purpose, and every emotion has its opposite. Society needs balance. But this anger you saw, was this only because of Roshni? We don't know that. This was a pressure release mechanism, and we shall soon understand where this anger is coming from. Ram was deeply unsettled. His gaze was outside the window. Vashisht knew he couldn't afford farther delay, so he asked Ram to listen to him, that someone is coming on his way and is coming for Ram. He's a great man, and he's going to take him away, and Vashisht himself cannot stop it. It is beyond him. Ram was going to ask who is this man, but Vashisht cut in and said that there will be no danger, but Ram will hear things about Guruji. Vashisht said Ram that he wants him to remember that he is like his son, and that he wants him to fulfill his Swadharma. Ram couldn't understand, so Guruji said that do not believe what you hear about me. That is all I have to say to you. Ram folded his hands into a namaste and said, yes, Guruji. Manthara decided to have a private audience with the second queen of Ayodhya, Kaikeyi. She was determined to get her personal justice. Kaikeyi, however, knew that she has the least control over Dasharath, so Ram was out of question. She kept on saying that she cannot do anything. This is law. But Manthara cannot be denied. She was aware that Dhenuka was in a high security prison within the city, and that only the royal family could pull off the idea she had. She said to Kaikeyi that she had enough money to buy every officer and nobleman in the kingdom. Kaikeyi knew that this was something. This could help him. With the right resources by her side, she might even force Bharat onto the throne. But she was careful to make any commitment, and asked, "What are promises?" "Promises are for tomorrow, and nobody knows about tomorrow." Manthara pulled out a handi, a document bearing her official seal. She was ready to sign the papers that would give Kaikeyi access to cash. Kaikeyi accepted the handi and scanned it quickly, and was shocked. The amount neatly inscribed was equivalent to more than 10 years of Ayodhya's royal revenue. In a flash, Manthara had just made Kaikeyi richer than the king. Kaikeyi knew that she has got the ticket in her hand that could fulfill her dreams for her son, and all Manthara hissed before leaving is that I want him to suffer. I want him to suffer as much as he made my daughter suffer. I'm not interested in a speedy death. Kaikeyi gripped Manthara's hand and said, "I swear by the great Lord Indra, the monster shall know what justice means. He will suffer, and that is the word of the Queen of Ayodhya." Kaikeyi knew what she had to do. She left for Bharat's quarters as soon as Manthara left. She knew it wasn't easy to manipulate Bharat. He was ambitious, but he was loyal to his half-brother than to his mother. So he decided to enrage his righteous anger and his love for Roshni. Bharat, however, said that he wishes to kill that monster with his bare hands, but this would be against the law. Ram Dada's law forbids it. Kaikeyi questions that what kind of law does this serve? These laws can't even avenge you a thing. The Manusmriti states that one must abandon the land where women are not respected. Bharat says that yes, ma, but this is law. Minors cannot be given death sentence. Kaikeyi then said that Dhenuka is not even underage anymore. He was underage when he committed the crime. Bharat explains to his mother that he knows everything and he doesn't like this, that justice has failed against technicality of a law. But Dada is not going to bend. He lives in a world he has planned inside his head, an ideal society. He forgets that Ayodhya is not ideal. Monsters like Dhenuka will always exploit the loopholes, and others will learn from it. A society needs to be worthy of enlightened law before the laws are implemented. Kaikeyi was about to ask him that why doesn't he do anything, to which Bharat says that no, if I question Dada's law, it will hurt his credibility. How will outsiders take him seriously if his brother doesn't? Kaikeyi was trying to make him understand that if Dhenuka is not punished, others will understand that a crime can be committed in the hands of a juvenile. Adults will teach young men to do the crime for some handful of coins. Bharat quizzically asks his mother that why is she so interested for Roshni's justice. Kaikeyi answers that Roshni was a noble woman. She was his sister. Bharat knew something was fishy. He was curious. So he asked his mother that would she be thinking the same way if a nobleman had raped a village woman? Would she be still clamoring for justice? Kaikeyi was quiet. She knew her yes response would be vague, and Bharat would know. So Kaikeyi decided to throw a sentence that would unhinge Bharat. He said maybe Ram did not love Roshni enough. Bharat said, "In the name of Lord Rudra, how can you say something like that? Ram Dada has been punishing himself." Kaikeyi said, "How does that make any sense? How does that give her justice? Bharat fell silent. Kaikeyi continues that Bharat has Kekaya blood in him. The blood of Ashwapati runs through his veins. Blood shall always be answered with blood. That is the motto of Kekaya. Bharat says that yes, he remembers, but he will not hurt Ram Dada. Kaikeyi said that she has a plan, so she continued that Bharat should leave Ayodhya on a diplomatic visit. He will publicize his absence. He will then turn incognito and get some trusted men to break into prison and escape Dhenuka. Dhenuka will be dead, and Bharat will resume the visit after the deed is done. Everybody will be suspicious, but nobody will question because everybody wants Dhenuka dead. And for Ram, it will be impossible to find out who did it. Most importantly, justice will be served. Bharat commented that you have really thought this through. But going out for a diplomatic visit, there hasn't been any diplomatic invitation. How will I ask for royal permission? Kaikeyi said that there is already an invitation from Kekaya. Kaikeyi has secretly used the money to get a backdated invitation from Kekaya inserted into Ayodhya's diplomatic files. Bharat thought this. He contemplated what he was about to do. Inside his heart, he knew that sometimes laws needs to be broken for justice. Kaikeyi pulled out a piece of bloodied white cloth that was used to cover Roshni's brutalized body, and all she said was, "Help her get justice." Bharat's eyes welled up. He knew that this justice was necessary. Kaikeyi held him tight and said, "Shaktima has her eyes on you, my son. You cannot allow the one who has committed such a heinous crime on a woman to go unpunished. Remember that. Blood shall always be answered with blood." Dhenuka was in a solitary cell at the royal prison. He was awoken by the creaking sound of a door. The cell was completely dark with no light streaming in. He felt endangered. So frightened Dhenuka turned his body towards the door with his fist prepared and pretended to be asleep. He heard a soft whistle over his head and almost sprang up to hit whoever it was. But there was nobody. He was confused. He darted his eyes everywhere to find out where the sound came from. All of a sudden, he felt a sharp blow on the back of his head, and he fell on his face. Someone yanked him by his hair and brought a wet cloth against his nose. He knew the sweet-smelling liquid. He has used it quite many times. In a matter of seconds, Dhenuka was unconscious. He woke again with the sound of gentle rolling of wheels on a dirt road. His kidnappers hadn't hurt him. Who could these people be? Where was he going? Were they sent by his father? He tried to raise his head, but came again the wet cloth, and he was unconscious. Dhenuka was awoken with splash of water, and he heard a gentle voice say, "Come now." He found out that he was in a bullock cart, and he was being guided outside of it. A man silently came beside him with a cup and said, "Drink this." He started examining the cup thoroughly, to which the man said that if he had wanted to kill him, he would have done it already. This drink would clear his head. Dhenuka drank up what it had, and the effects were instantaneous. His head was clearer and his mind became alert. He heard the sounds of flowing water and started thinking that he was near a river. The moment the sun rises, he would soon run to safety. Dhenuka returned the cup to this man and asked, "Where is my father?" The man silently took the cup and left. Then came a well-built figure from where the previous man disappeared. This person had a fair skin and wore a bright green dhoti with angavastram. He wore a headband that held the hair together, and it had been intricately built with golden feather attached to it. It was Bharat. Dhenuka immediately went down on his knees. Bharat was quite popular among the women of Kosala. Dhenuka said, I knew you would have understood me. I didn't expect any better judgment from your straight-laced elder brother. Bharat didn't react. Dhenuka kept on saying that I know you would understand. Women have been created just for enjoyment. Women are meant to be used. And with a laughing gesture, Dhenuka was about to reach out and hold Bharat's angavastram as a humble gratitude. Bharat swirled aside, flung Dhenuka's hand and grabbed his throat, and with a menacing voice gritted his teeth and said, Women are not meant to be used. They are meant to be loved. Dhenuka's expression changed. He felt like a trapped animal. He stood rooted to the spot. 20 powerfully built men emerged. Bharat was slowly squeezing his throat. All of a sudden, a man interrupted from behind, and Bharat stopped. He wouldn't allow Dhenuka die so easily. Dhenuka was coughing, trying to recover his breath. 2 men came and grabbed Dhenuka to take him back to the cart, kicking and beating him, and he was screaming that by the law he was a juvenile and he cannot be hurt. Bharat ordered to tie him up, which he was, to a large tree. They spread his arms wide and tied them around the tree trunk with a rope. They spread the legs apart and repeated the process. Bharat turned to Shatrughan and said that there is no need. He can leave. He doesn't have to see anything. Shatrughan replied that he wants to stay with his Dada. Shatrughan continued that this might be against the law, but this is what needs to be done. Dhenuka felt like a goat among a pride of lions. He was saying to let him go and he would never touch a woman again. Bharat slapped him hard on the face and said, Do you recognize this place? This was exactly the place where Roshni was gang raped and murdered. One of the soldiers handed Bharat a metallic bottle. He took the bottle, opened the lid, and brought it close to Dhenuka's nose and said, You will soon know what pain is. Another soldier handed Bharat a twisted drill and a hammer. Dhenuka started screaming. He knew what was about to happen. One of the soldiers said, Scream all you want, you demented bastard. Nobody will hear you. Bharat positioned the twisted drill on Dhenuka's shoulder and held the hammer high. He just wanted to create a large hole to pour the acid into it. A quick death is not what he was looking for. Bharat then whispered, Blood shall always be answered with blood. Down came the hammer, and the drill penetrated perfectly. Desperate screams even covered the sound of river Sarayu.